Hypothetically, and while collecting, you think about these things often, but if I had to choose 2 watches to keep out of my collection for the rest of my life right now, which 2 watches would I choose? I have to start with a disclaimer. I only own one of these watches, but they both come from the same owner.
So you're saying Seiko sold out?
I wouldn't say Seiko sold out, but it feels like it feels like a change that didn't need to happen.
My buddy Andrew, who I featured on this channel before, got into modding SKXs a few years back. He managed to collect a few SKX007s before the price inflation, and me, never having owned one, decided to shoot my shot on a trade, but honestly 1000% in his favor. I guess that's depending on how you look at it, really. I traded Andrew my Oris TT1 GMT for the SKX. From a value perspective, this was a horrible trade for me, but the truth is, I wear the SKX way more than I ever wore the TT1, so I guess it was a good trade, and Andrew loves the TT1 and wears it pretty often, so bong bong. And if you disagree, you can roast me in the comments. Continuing this 2-watch collection essay series, I thought to myself, what are my 2 favorite classic Seiko watches? I mean, the list could literally go forever. I can make a 3-hour epic about it, and honestly, I'd love to hear what your picks would be in the comments down below. I've already accepted that for me, a 2-watch collection would never be feasible, but hypotheticals are fun, so I think a SKX007 and a SARB033 would be a perfect 2-watch collection even in 2024. Starting with the SKX, I think the 007 dial straight out the factory is perfect. It's super clean. I love the clean black with the small pop of red. I struggle sometimes with Seiko sub-branding. I wish modern Seiko would clean up their dials and put the sub-brand logos on the crowns, Seiko, if you're listening. For my tool watches, I'm a fan of maxi dials and day-date complications. 42 is a large case, but with the shorter lugs and forgiving dial to bezel ratio, the SKX wears perfect on most wrists, even my 6.5-inch Dainty Daint. The SKX I consider the baseline in their whole dive watch range even now. Why I chose the SKX over all the other diver tool watches in the Seiko range is, if you don't like something or get tired of it, you can change it. The SKX modding market and community is the most immersive out of all the watches in mechanical watch culture. And I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's here to stay forever. Don't like the bezel? Pop in another one. Don't like the bracelet? Buy another one. You can even replace that shitty 7S26 with a 4R. It's all there. And all for our enjoyment.
Scratching an itch?
This next watch is an icon, and I think still 1-watch collection worthy even in 2024. The SARB definitely needs no introduction. The watch embodies the makings of the perfect everyday watch, perfect case size, sapphire crystal, reasonable movement, and a signed crown. The dial is clean with no busy sub-branding and extra labels. People that bought a SARB before the price inflation are most likely never going to sell them, and people that are shopping them right now in 2024, good luck finding one under $400. This watch, when it was in its prime, was really hard to beat. You can dress it up and dress it down. It's not overly ostentatious. It's a classic aesthetic. Other than some possible 6R15 maintenance and servicing, this watch might be perfect. And truthfully, I don't know if Seiko ever made anything else that comes close to its perfection in relation to its market position, even at the price it's at now. Both of these watches are discontinued, but I'd say there's something that adds to the appeal of that. Here, let me give you an example. Shown here are 2 versions of the BMW M3. The one shown on the left is the timeless E36. The one on the right is the modern G80. Even now, in 2024, I know there are more than a handful of you that would 1000% go for the E36 over the modern M3. For me personally, although I know there are better, faster, more reliable cars than the E36 M3 in the market, I can't deny how I feel inside my heart. The fact that they don't make them like that anymore adds to the appeal, and this is pretty much exactly how I feel about Seiko, and why I think the SKX and SARB would make a perfect 2-watch collection. And at the time of making this video, under $1,000. Under $1,500 for sure. Maybe under $1,000 if you find the deals. Don't get it twisted though. I'm not hating on Seiko at all. I love modern Seiko. In fact, in my last video, I said Seiko is my favorite watch brand. Seiko is my favorite watch brand. Right now, I'm loving the SPB465. And earlier this year, while I was in Waikiki, I bought the SPB381. For the sake of the story, and the alternate reality of only owning 2 watches, I could see myself going with the SKX and the SARB. Both of these watches have an amazing story, are great conversation pieces, both still have amazing build quality and excellence, discounting some SKX chapter ring misalignments. Again, you can mod it, bruh. And much like the E36 M3, both of these watches capture a time in history. I mean, it's pretty sweet, you know, like 2 classic watches, both discontinued. That means that they're not readily available in the market. That means that you really have to do your research in order to have them. To me, it's a little bit more exclusive, and it shows that you're in the know. I mean, the SKX is probably the more controversial pick out of the 2, just because if you want to mod 5KX or an SRPD, that's also possible. But my thing is like, if you're gonna mod an SRPD to ultimately bring it back to looking like an SKX, then you might as well just buy an SKX. It would be easier just to buy an SKX and replace the 7S with a 4R movement, which I think would offset that and make it easier in that sense. I don't know. But I put a lot of thought into this video. I know that there are so many different combinations of Seikos if you were to build a 2-watch collection, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? What would be your 2 picks out of Seiko? Excluding Grand Seiko, what would be your 2 picks to build the perfect 2-watch collection? I don't think there's any wrong answers, really. I just think the SKX and the SARB would be covering most of the ground and checking off most of the boxes in that list. Either way, I appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you on the next one.